Hello friends and welcome to operations management videos at edupediaworld.com, your favorite portal for online education. This session we shall take up the factor rating method, another method of finding the most suitable facility location. Under the methods of facility location, we have already seen the dimensional analysis, and this is the second method of determining the most suitable facility location. Here we shall see what basically this method is all about. We shall see the steps of this method and finally take up a few problems to solve and see how it works. Here we go. Factor rating method is supposedly the most widely used location technique because of its simplicity, and this method is used to locate both the service industries as well as the production or the manufacturing locations. These are also called as the linear scoring rule, and the factors which we have here could be of both the types. It could be the qualitative or the intangible factors, for example the quality of education, the standard of living, the medical facilities, or proximity to market, transportation of the raw materials, availability of skilled laborers, and so on. Or it could be the quantitative or the tangible factors like the various types of costs involved, including the short run and the long run costs. Well, let's see now why these methods are so widely used. As I said, the factor rating method is the simplest approach to a location decision, and it is their simplicity which actually has made them so popular. Their simplicity helps the decision maker to decide about why one site is better than the other. Further, they enable the managers to bring diverse locational considerations and diverse factors into the evaluation process. You can use both the tangible as well as the intangible factors together simultaneously. Okay. Further, they foster consistency of judgment about location alternatives. So now let's look at the steps involved in factor rating method. What we do is, first of all, we identify the important location factors. After we have shortlisted, or after we have got a few locations as alternatives, we determine which are the most suitable factors for us. Okay. Once we have listed the factors, now we rate these factors by some relative, based on their relative importance, and higher ranking indicates their prominence. Okay, we can use a weighing method where the weights could total up to 1, or it could be even more than that. We can have certain weights and we can assign these weights to each factor depending on their importance. If a factor is more important to us, we'll assign a higher weight to it, and if it is less important, we give a lower weight. Alright, so let me just repeat the steps. First of all, you identify the important factors or the factors which affects your decision. Fine. After you have selected the locations, you enlist the factors. Then you rank the factors, or you assign weights to the factors according to their importance. Okay, you have some weighing scale and you give higher weight to those ones which are more important to you and lower weights to the one which are of less importance. Thereafter, we pick each of these locations and we assign according to the merit, we assign certain points to each of these locations for all the factors. Okay, like for instance, if we have, say, okay, let's take an example that will make you understand in a better way. Let's say we have, first let me enlist the factors. Okay, say for instance I have 3 different locations. Okay, let me say for a certain kind of industry, let's say I have location A, B, and C. Okay, let me list the factors. The factors could be, let's say the first factor could be the cost of the land. The second could be the say proximity to the market. Say the third could be the cost of the labor. Fine. The fourth could be the educational facilities. And then let's have one more. Let's say the fifth could be the environment of living. Or the lifestyle. Okay, so now we have 5 factors here. That's the first step. We have enlisted all our factors. Okay, for 3 alternatives, 3 different locations, A, B, and C. Next, I'll assign weights to each of these factors. Let me do that here. Okay, well, the weights, as I said, could be summing up to 1, or it could be, say for instance, it could be a numerical value. So let's say we have the land cost has an importance of say 25%. Let me put that here. The proximity to market is say just 10%. So we have this. Cost of labor again say is important, and it say has a higher weight of say 30%. Then we have educational facilities. Let's say that this comprise of 20%. So now we have 30 plus 20, 50, 60, 85, and say environment is say 15%. So now we have the sum of these weights equal to 1. Yeah, 15 plus 20 is 35, 65, 75, and then 25 is 100. So it's 1. Okay, and then we have 3 different locations. This was the first step. Now we have assigned this the weights. Okay, we have for each of these factors. Next, now I need to rate all of these locations based on these factors. Okay, let's say cost of the land is say very high in the first place, so it's not suitable for us. So let's say let's give a score of say 50. This is better than that, so let's say this is say 70. This is the best, so let's say this has a cost value of 90. Proximity to the market, here let's say this is very close to the market, or say it's again far away from the market, so let's say that again we'll give a score of say 55. And here this being the proximity is say this is closer to the market, we'll have 75. This is further closer, so let's give it as 85. Okay, coming to the cost of the labors are cheap here, so let's say we will give a score of 95 here, whereas here it's somewhat okay, so we'll write it as 60, and here the labors are very costly, so we'll put it as 50. Okay, educational facilities, again educational facilities say is mediocre here, so let's put it as 60. Here this is also somewhat the same, so let's put it 65. And here we say the educational facilities are better than all of the other 2, so let's rate it at, let's give a score of 80. Environment of living, again this doesn't fare very bad. This is again is very close to the previous one. Here let's say the environment of living is, say it's not up to the mark, so let's say it is at 60. So now we have the scores of each of the location based on the factors. Okay, so that's what is done here. You assign each location according to the merit of the location for each factor using a common scale, and the scale could be anything. It could be from 0 to 100 in points, or as you prefer, but the thing is that the scale should be common for all the 3 locations. Next, what we do is we calculate the rating for each location by multiplying the factor assigned to each location with the basic factors considered. Okay, that is, we will find the ratings of all of these. Let me do that here. We'll find the ratings, and this is nothing but the product of the weights and the factor values or the points which we have assigned to each of these. Okay, so it's W into A times W into B, and here it is W into C, the third factor. Fine. So we'll find the product of all of these in these columns. Thereafter, lastly, we'll find the sum of the product calculated from each factor and select the best location, and the best location would be the one which will have the highest total score. Okay, the one having the highest total score would be the best location. So if we have to solve this question, the one which we have here now, let's do it together. So here W into A, and the best would be to do it on an Excel sheet. We'll take up our next problem and we'll try solving it on an Excel sheet. For now, this one, let's do it together over here. We have the first value as 0.25 multiplied by the first value, which is 50, and that happens to be 12.5. The next would be 55 into 0.1, so that is 5.5. Next would be 95 multiplied by 0.3, and that is 28.5. Next is 60 multiplied by 0.2, and that is 12. Lastly, it is 75 multiplied by 0.15, and that is 11.25. Okay, so these are the product of the weight and the scores of the factors for the location A, for the first location. Okay, similarly, let's do it for the second location, and then after we do for all the three, we will sum it up. So for second one, it is 70 multiplied by 0.25, and that is equal to 17.5. Next is 75 multiplied by 0.1, which is 7.5. Third is 60 multiplied by 0.3, which is 18. Okay, the fourth one is 65 multiplied by 0.2, which is 13. 65 into 0 is 13. Next is 70 multiplied by 0.15, and that's 10.5. Okay, and lastly we have the third one, where it is 90 multiplied by 0.25, which is 22.5. In the second case, it is 85 multiplied by 0.1, which is 8.5. Third one, it is 50 multiplied by 0.3, and that is 15. The fourth one is 80 multiplied by 0.2, and that is 16. And lastly, it is 60 multiplied by 0.15, and that is equal to 9. Okay, so these are the values of the products. Next, let's find the sum. The first one, the sum is 5, 10, 15, 20. Well, we have two digits here, so let's put it this way, and we have 5. Here we have 5, 3, 15 plus 2, 17 is 7, 1 carry on. So 2 plus 1, 3 plus 5 is 8, 16, 18 plus 1, 19. And then here it is 2, 4, 6. So the first one, the value is 69.75. Let's see for the next one, it is 5, and then 1 carry on is 15, 23, 26 is 6, 2 carry on, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 66.5. And here finally the sum of the last one here we have is 0, 1 carry on, it's 16, 22 plus 9, 31, 1, and then 3 plus 2, 5, 6, 7, it's 71. And so the last one has the highest value. Yeah, so this gives us the highest value, and therefore this would be the most suitable location. Yeah, so for us the most suitable location is the third location. This is the most suitable location. Alright, I hope it's easy. So let's now solve a few problems together. So these are the simple steps. I've demonstrated the steps by way of an example. So let's take up a numerical problem. Here we have, let's assume that a new medical facility is to be located in a city, and the location factors, the rating of the factors, the scores from 1 to 5 for two potential sites are shown in the table below. Which of the two you think is the best? Use the factor rating method. This time let's solve it by way of an Excel sheet. Alright, so here we have the summary of the question. We have the location, the factors. We have totally 5 different factors. Okay, their ratings are given here. This time they're not in decimal. And then the scores of both the locations, location 1 and location 2, are given here. So let's find the product of the weights and the location. Okay, so let me call this as factor rating FR multiplied by location 1. Okay, the same way so this simply will be the product of this number multiplied by the value here. And since I'm going to have this fixed even for the second location, let me fix this. Let me put a dollar symbol here. Okay, so the value here is 24. I can drag it down to find the values for all the cells in this column. Here we have, and then I can, in the same way, using the same formula, I can even find the values for the factor rating by the second location. Okay, now you see here, this is the product of the value, location value here 5, and the factor rating value, which is 8. I can further drag this down to all the cells. Yeah, and here we have, let me just yeah, so we have the values here. Now let me find the total. Now total value of the first location would be the sum of the values in this column, and for the next one I just need to use the same formula and put it here. Well, I've got it. Okay, so now which of these two is a better location? Exactly, it is the second one. It's the second location, location 2, which is better. Why? Because this gives us a higher value of the sum of the product of the weights and the scores of the location. Okay, and this is what the factor rating method tells. So location 2 is a better location for us in this question. Okay, so here is the summary of the solution. We have the 5 factors. We have taken the locations, their products with the factor, and the sum here for the second one is 106. Therefore the second location is a better alternative. Alright, well, so by now I'm sure you must have understood. This is very simple. So here is a question for you to test your understanding. A glass company is evaluating 4 locations A, B, C and D for a new plant and has weighed the relevant factors as shown in the table below. Scores have been assigned with higher values indicative of preferred conditions. Using these scores, develop a qualitative factor comparison for the 4 locations. Alright, so pause me for a while, solve it, and then maybe we'll do it together and you can check your answers. Alright, so let's do it together here on an Excel sheet. We have these 6 factors, and you see we have the cost as well as the intangible ones like the cost of living, or the environment and the availability of labor and so on. Okay, the weights, this time the sum of the weight is 1. Let's see if it is or not. The sum of the weights, Yeah, the sum of the weight is 1. And then we have the 4 different locations A, B, C and D, and their scores given in the columns here. Alright, so now let's find the product first of the weight with the first location. So it's W multiplied by A, and the value would be the weight here multiplied by the score at the first location. Okay, now since this is going to be fixed for all the 4 sites, I'm going to fix this and then drag this down for all the cells here. Well, and then just copy the same for the rest of the sites. Okay, this will be your W multiplied by B. Then you have the weights multiplied by C, and finally you have the weights multiplied by the D. Okay, so let's see if these are correct. Yeah, here we have, you see, it's the product of the weight and the factor here the same way. This is the product of the score at C and the weight, and finally this is the product of the score of the factor D and the weight of this factor. Alright, so now we have the products. Let's find the sum of these. We already have the formula here, let's use that. We have the sums for A, B, C and D. Okay, so now which of these is the best location? Exactly, it is B. Why? Because B gives us a higher value of the product, of the sum of the product, and therefore B is supposedly the best location out of these 4. Alright, well, so now let's summarize this here. This was our question and this is the summary of the answer. You see that the value at the product of the value at B is the highest, which is 65.4, and therefore B is the best location alternative for this. Alright, so that's all we have in this session. We shall come up with the other location methods like the load distance method, the center of gravity method, the break-even analysis method, and so on in our upcoming videos. Keep watching Edupedia World videos. Thank you.